Hey y'all, welcome back to A Good Things Marriage Chats. Again, I'm Tiara.
And I am Adrian. And we would like to say thank you for joining us on this week's video. We had a good time last week talking about motherhood, how you can prepare for motherhood, can you even be prepared for motherhood? But this week, we got something deeper. And Tweet is going to lead us on this because I'm in the learning chair today. I got some questions. And I might have some comments and concerns as well. But she gonna lead us today because I am with you. We're her students. Before we dive into this lesson though, don't forget to like, to comment, to subscribe, to click the notification bell so that you can know when we upload new videos every week and join the discussion.
Yes.
We also have some socials that you can follow us, so make sure that you follow us on those. We appreciate you guys for just joining us every week. So I just want to make sure that we say that every week because we truly, truly do appreciate you guys. We're working on building this platform, building this community, building this organization for not only us, but for you as well.
Well, guys, so we've been talking about parenting. We've been talking about motherhood. So we're going to scoot a little bit over. It's still kind of touching on that a little bit, but who is considered to be wise counsel? Mm-hmm. And I just want you to think about in your life, in your spouse's life, because if you guys are married already, you should probably already know who those people are.
Right.
But who are the people that mean you well? Who are the people that you know you can come to for guidance, that mean you for good, that have your best interests, who you can trust, who has experienced some things, you know?
Yeah.
And everybody's not going to be the same in all areas. It's kind of like the same thing when you have multiple best friends and you can go to different best friends for different things because they've done different things. One might be married, one might have a family, one might have a big family. One might be like super career, one might be working from home. It all can vary. So it's going to be the same thing with your wise counsel.
Yeah.
And that wise counsel, it can include people from your village, and it might not. It might not be the people you talk to all the time. So it's important to recognize that. 2 disclaimers first. One is your marriage and your household is your own. So I want to put that out there first.
Yeah.
That it is important that even though you have this wise counsel of people to talk to, that ultimately this is you guys' home. You're going to be in the house. You're living with each other every day. You're making the decisions. You seeing what's going on. So at the end of the day, you have to take what you've been given and work that thing together. Talk about it, make the decision what's best for you all's household.
Right.
Second disclaimer is being open to change and growth.
Oh, yes. One thing that I like to say and I like to think of is the person that you married is not the same person that you're married to today.
Amen.
Okay?
Amen.
Because I've been married for 14 years. 14? 13? Girl. No, it'll be 14 years in May.
Yeah.
But the man that I married 14 years ago is not the man that I am married to today. We've both grown. We've both learned new things. We've both discovered new things about ourselves. We have a different outlook on life. We have different opinions from what we had when we were in our early 20s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's part of that growth and change.
Absolutely.
You know, because that also will depend on how your counsel changes. Because your counsel grows and changes with you, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And sometimes that counsel can help you to see the growth and change maybe in your spouse that you wasn't really paying attention to. So let me put that out there, or this plug in to talk about how important it is to make sure that you are continually to learn your spouse. Like we had a conversation last week where my husband, sometimes he holds on to things. He still remembered the tiara from 2003.
Oh.
And so thinking that, and I'm just using that year, y'all. But sometimes it's like, no, have you really taken a look? Are you really, think about this. If you really sit and think about this, is she the same in this area or this area or whatever? And so, of course, you fell in love with this person when you guys first met. You fell in love with who they are. But just know who they are is going to evolve. You guys are both going to evolve. And so if you really love each other, all you can do is really appreciate how that person is growing and evolving. And you guys figuring out how you're doing that together.
Yeah.
But you are going to change. You are going to change.
Yeah.
Now, Wise Counsel can help in marriage by providing a different perspective, revealing blind spots, and helping you to learn from others' experiences. Some say the Wise Counsel can be the difference between a failed and a successful marriage. Now, what's your thoughts about that, Dree?
I think that is accurate because if I considered my Wise Counsel to be a friend that is not married, and I go to them about an issue that I have in my marriage, they could give me advice about, or advice for my marriage that will work for them as a single person, but it wouldn't work for me, for my marriage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make sure that I stick with the ones that have experience. Like, because if you have a community of people, you know your married friends and the things that they are going through. Now, we might not share all of the issues and things with our friends and family, but we'll share enough to where we feel comfortable enough to go to that person and be like, hey, you know, I know you've been through this, and now I'm seeing myself in this same situation. Can you help me work this out, or can you give me some advice on how you went through it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, right there, that can, you know, make your marriage if you go to the right type of Wise Counsel, and it can break your marriage going to the wrong type.
Absolutely. And that's why I was saying, starting off, that it's important to know who's really in your corner. Because if somebody really cares about you and they care about your well-being and the well-being of your marriage, their intent will be, their best interest will be in a place to give it to you. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't have your best interest and still not give you the best advice. Because it doesn't mean that people can't give you advice based off them being in a broken place from what they know or how they grew up or whatever the case. But you'll still know if it's coming from a good place or not, you know. But let's talk about who this Wise Counsel could be. It could be your parents. Could be your grandparents. Now, the only thing about parents and grandparents that we have to be careful is making sure that we're not allowing them too much into your marriage. And you need to really think about some of the things that you would share with them that may affect them that they won't forget. You could get into a real deep conversation about some way, because let's be real, sometimes we hurt each other. And things that we say, actions, mistakes that we make. So I don't want to tell my mom something that my husband did to me that's like really bad and that she's not going to forget. And she can't get past it. So she's going to always look at him like, you did this to my daughter and I can't say nothing about it. You know, that's a lot to put on your family. It is. That's a lot. And you have to be able to, I don't know if I want to say respect, but just realize who the audience is. You know, something like that, you may not want to talk to. It might be better to talk to a married friend, other friends, or, you know, somebody that's not around y'all regularly, like a pastor or, you know, something like that. Somebody that's not going to have any bias. You know. And I'm sure it's usually not going to be just because they're choosing you over, but ultimately they're still your parent. They still love you. They want to see you hurt. So it's normal. You can expect for them to feel some kind of way. But you also have aunts and uncles. I mean, for me, I don't really have one that I'm close to, but I know some people do. If you have that type of relationship with them where you can trust them, great. But Adrian mentioned friends. You got godparents. You got church family or your pastor. But then there's also different resources like podcasts or YouTube videos. I am a full-time student of YouTube University. Full-time. And that's what we want to become, by the way. So, just want to stick that plug in there. But there's so many different great podcasts. Focus on the Family. There's so many I can't even think of right now. I've just gotten some good sound information, you know, whether that has to be with parenting or marriage, period. There's this one guy, I wish I could remember his name. We might tag his name later, but he does this cute little skits where he always shows himself as both sides, and so he'll play both sides and kind of play off each other to show you how the conversation should have went. So he's really good, but I'll share him later as well. But check out different YouTube and podcasts if you guys are dealing with a certain situation. Search it out on YouTube. Look it up. See how others have went through it and what good stuff might be. So don't sleep on the resources too. Yeah. But it's still good to have those right hand people to talk to.
Kev on Stage is another good one. He and his wife. Well, I think his wife Melissa. She has the Love Hour. I think they did it together.
Okay.
But they have the Love Hour podcast, and they talk about things like that. They talk with other couples. About issues that they may have faced in the marriage. I know they had Auntie Tab. Hey, Auntie Tab.
Hey.
They had Auntie Tab and her husband Chance on there. They've had just a bunch of different other couples on there that they've sat down, had conversations with, and we got to know these couples and also got a little glimpse in some things or some challenges that they may face.
Yeah,
absolutely. I definitely agree.
Yeah. One of the reasons why we created A Good Thing is also so that we have a community group. Me and Adrian have shared our story before, and I think it's important to have a circle of accountability and people that you can talk to as well that know you, that know how you are. And can just offer sound, friendly advice that more than likely is not going to be as judgmental as maybe somebody that might be from your family.
Right. And I mean, even in building that community, don't go sharing with strangers. Right. Like me and Twee, we've been in this for over 20 years. Okay. Yes. So this is my sister from another mister. Right. So I can pretty much just spew it on her and she'll be fine. She'll be okay. She'll be fine. Right. But yeah, that's part of building your community, because you want a long-lasting and strong community. Yeah. You don't want a community that's just like a people or a group of people that's just like, I'm just gonna snatch what you give and run away, and I ain't gonna help you. It's too much.
Yeah, and you will learn over time who you can trust with information. Because it's personal, right? These are issues, things that are deep, near and dear to your heart. And you don't want to just give that to anybody. You want to give to people that you trust. And that's actually there not just for the point of listening to you gossip or complain or vent, but actually because they care about you and want to help, right? Right. So you can also consider therapists, of course, and teachers. We've talked about that before when it comes to our children, even looking at them because they're spending a lot of time with your children as well. Yeah. So they're considered to be wise counsel. Yeah. So I want to share with you 2 scriptures that actually talk about wise counsel in the Bible. The first one is Proverbs chapter 1, verse 5 says, "A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels." And Proverbs 12:15 says, "The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearketh unto counsel is wise." So that kind of takes us into talking about what are some of the reasons why someone might ignore wise counsel. The first one is many people are advice rejectors. So we're talking about people who are very prideful, have a big ego, who just can't tell them nothing. They're
not open to learning.
They're not open to learning. They probably don't, even though we're not talking about like authority state, they still probably more than likely had a problem with authority figures with telling them what to do, when this is just about sharing and trying to help somebody grow. Some people just don't want to hear what nobody else say. Yeah. And a lot of times it's the men. I'm sorry. But sometimes it's the men.
Yeah, my mama used to say, a hard head makes a soft. It rhymes with class.
Right. It's important for leaders to understand why taking advice can be difficult before addressing it themselves. So the first thing I thought about when I seen this, because we pulled this information off of Forbes, the first thing I noticed or thought about when seeing this is how in a church, for instance, that somebody could be looking to get information or counsel from the pastor, but maybe the husband was like, well, that pastor, I just seen him do this or do that, or this. And so they just automatically assume, one, that the man is perfect, which he's not. But secondly, just because somebody don't have their life all together doesn't mean they can't give you counsel about a certain thing. So I would say you still want to be careful, but don't just discount thinking that someone can assist because they aren't 100% perfect.
Right.
Because none of us are. You aren't. And we all need help in different areas of our life. Next one is bias based on the other person's situation or lack of influence. Yeah. And this is pretty much kind of talking about from a popularity type of standpoint. I know I'm going to talk to her because, she seems to have a greater following or a bigger following, or more people listen to her, or, oh, she's pretty, or, oh, she's this. So she could probably tell me more than anything. Mm-hmm. When you could be choosing her as a mom and she's got a brand new infant versus somebody who had 3 kids.
Right.
Make it make sense.
Right.
It shouldn't just be based off popularity.
Right.
You want sound, good information. Yeah. Wanting to keep a strong image as if assistance is not needed. So this is really more so talking about like, you, again, kind of like in a prideful thing where you need help, but you don't want to look, you don't want to ask for help. You don't want to look like you're weak or like you don't know, and just worrying about what other people think instead of just getting the info you need to move forward or to do what you need to do. So that's the wrong place to be in.
Yeah, that's one thing that I am learning and working on, because I am a person, I'm very hyper independent, because I don't want to bother anyone. I feel like I don't want to bother anyone with my issues. Yeah. So I will struggle until I can't struggle no more. Yeah. Before I ask for assistance, before I ask for help. Yeah. And that's not healthy. That's not good. Yeah. Because we need help. Yeah. We need help, whether it's through parenting, we need help, whether it's through marriage. We need help as a person, just period. We need help. Yeah. So that's, one thing I can attest to. It doesn't feel great being hyper independent and just being like, I'm not gonna ask for help. Yeah. Girl, no, I need help. Yeah. I drive myself crazy.
And you just, you want to think about it from a standpoint like, if I don't ask, or what's the worst that could happen? I know some people are worried about the fear of rejection and somebody doesn't want to help them. That's probably like the top thing. But you want to think about it like, okay, if I don't ask, like, this could escalate. This could get worse.
It can get worse, yeah.
And you don't want to be in a situation where it's one of those failed marriages or the wrong decision because you didn't want to ask. Just find the person that you trust to ask about whatever it is. And of course, you always want to talk to your spouse first too, because there's certain things that you want to make sure that your spouse is okay with you talking to someone else about. Because there could be a certain situation where, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to talk to such and such. But your spouse might have been like, I would have preferred that you not talk to them about that.
Some things are just private. Some like, if your spouse is dealing with erectile dysfunction, you ain't trying to be like, hey, friend, my husband has ED. Right. You ain't trying to do that. It's embarrassing. Yeah. So it's a matter of just talking with your spouse, like you said, and seeing like a medical professional. Yeah. Like, hey, you want to do this together? Let's do this together. Some things are just a little too personal and private. Right. You don't want to go to your friend. Exactly. Or your mama or your grandmama when it's,
Yeah, absolutely. Some people also might choose not to consider Wise Counsel because they would rather just make the quick, fast, easy decision. And I'm sorry, man, but this is probably more so y'all on this as well. At least from where I stand, sit, whatever, observe. I just know that a lot of times men like to make the quick decisions. There's some of them that like think and meditate on it for a minute. But a lot of them they want the fast, quick decision. That's even in like the business career world.
Oh, yeah.
They want to think about, okay, so what is it? Oh, yeah, just this, just do that. And I really want to think about it. And there's just certain things that take
time. Yeah. When you're married and you're a parent and you're sharing your life with someone else, you really got to take time to make those like big decisions.
Yeah.
Because they're life-changing decisions. Like I was just telling Twee before we got started. If you know me, you know I am going to take my time to research, to think it out, to replay how it's going to affect my life, my family's life, my husband's life, my children. I took when I used to do makeup back in the day, I was researching lipstick. Before I bought the lipstick, I took 7 months of reading reviews, looking at YouTube videos, looking at everybody else wearing. I'm like, well, they ain't turned into no flying monkey yet, so let me go ahead. It's been 7 months, so I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet and go ahead and purchase it. That's the type of decision maker I am.
Yeah.
And then I have to. My husband's not so much. if he wants it, he's like, "We're gonna go ahead and get it." And I'm like, "Hey."
Right.
We can't do that.
Yeah.
We can't do that. We got to think about it.
Yeah.
Do we need it? Like, it's those steps, those questions.
Yeah.
Now I'm not, as long-witted as I used to be when it came to making decisions. But I'm definitely going to take some time to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely, especially if it's some kind of life-changing or it involves a large amount of money, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to make sure I got my hand on my husband's shoulder so he don't run off and go make the decision because he don't want to wait.
Yeah. and to add to that, it's also because you want to make sure that you're hearing, that you're discerning. Doing the research. There's a bunch of reasons why you want to take your time. Now, don't wait so long to where you just don't make a decision or make yourself frustrated, but take the necessary time that you need to hear, discuss, research, whatever it takes. You also have some people who are just not open to change or able to adjust when need be. And getting that counsel sometimes means taking a look at yourself in the mirror and realizing something you need to do, and you like, you see my face? Yeah. They don't want to change. And I'm sorry, it's hard for you not to change in a marriage. There's just too many things that happen between children, between you all learning and growing as separate people, career changes, money changes, lose a job, gain a job, make more money, losing things. I mean, it requires an adjustment.
Right.
There's we've talked about triggers several times. When you're in a marriage, there's always something that comes up from your past that's brought up that you learned because you're with this person who sees you, who learned you, who knows you. They know how they smell. Right. They know how you react. They know how they press buttons. All those things. And so you're going to be changing as you guys learn one another and as you adjust. I mean, you change even with just becoming a mother. Yeah. And a wife. And becoming a wife and becoming one is a whole process. It doesn't happen overnight just because you got the ring head ceremony. Right. Okay. It takes time. Right. So take the counsel that you can get with an open mind that, hey, I may need to make an adjustment or something. And you can ask your partner for that grace. That it's probably not going to happen overnight. Oh. But I see what you mean. Acknowledge it. I see what you mean. I understand your point of view. Whatever the case. Acknowledge it, accept it, and take the steps towards it. Ask the questions. What should I have done? Those type of things. Right. Okay? Right. Also, you don't want to value your own opinion so much that you're not willing to hear what everybody else say. Yes. Like you feel like you got it all down. Yes. Done. Yes. I know what I need to do. You might have a good idea. You may have done it before with a previous child, previous marriage, whatever the case, but that doesn't mean that's going to be the same for this instance. Right. So we talked about in the last video how you could be talking to somebody and 90% of what they said was wrong, but 10% might have gave you an idea or sparked something that you're like, you know what, but I could do something like that. Right. I could maybe do this, or they maybe give me an idea for something else. So you just, with any counsel, just make sure you're open, receive, and be grateful that you have people in your life who actually want to hear you out, want to help you, be there for you, because you don't have to have their circle. There's
Yeah.
plenty of people who feel alone, who don't have friends, who don't have close family, who've lost parents, all of that. So you really should be grateful for the ones that are still in your life.
Oh, yeah.
So with any of this, with any of the counsel that you have, it's important for you and your partner to discuss what's been said, make up in your minds what you guys want to do together as a team. And understand that not only is it important to know that you have a village, but know who they are. And also understand that over time, your village will most likely change.
Oh, yeah.
And this was a harsh reality for me.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. For me, I know it's technically been challenging because there's been some people that I had in my village as far as like for my children that were there at first and now they're not. And while I might have wanted them there, or my children were used to them being there, it was an adjustment for all of us because you wanted them there, but you just had to be realistic about it that they're not going to be around. This is not going to be the best. You don't have my best interest. You don't have their best interest.
Yeah.
So, and that can be a transition all on its own, you know, especially when you're dealing with younger children, wondering why somebody's not around anymore.
Right.
Wondering why you aren't doing certain things, or why we aren't getting together, or when am I going to see, or how come we don't see anymore. And it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. And, you know, depending on their age and the situation, is if you guys decide to explain, you know, you want to give them some explanation when it comes to your children. You want them to know, like, hey, it's nothing you did, but, you know, stuff has just changed, and we're probably not going to be around this person as much anymore. Just a misunderstanding or whatever the case, you know, whatever is necessary. But just realize that whatever has transpired or could transpire with the loss or interchange of different people, that you do want to acknowledge it with your children and make sure that, you know, don't just feel like, oh yeah, they'll forget, they'll blow it off, whatever. No, they're going to remember.
Ask.
Oh yeah.
They'll definitely. My babies don't forget nothing. It seems like they remember everything that happened, except when I tell them to clean up their room. They don't remember that. But I didn't hear you. Yes, you did. But yeah, they'll ask questions. They'll definitely. Well, what happened to remember this person or remember that? I'm like, who are you talking? Like, I'm gonna be the one to forget. Who are you talking about, or what are you? You know, they'll ask those questions. Yeah. And so kids aren't dumb. Yeah. Kids are very smart.
Yeah.
and
smart. That's all the more reason why I think it's important, again, depending on the age, but it's all that much more important to make sure you do address it. Like, don't keep covering it up, or, you know, at some point they need to know. Yeah. They don't have to know the whole story, you know, if there's a beef or something, but you do want to address it. Don't leave them hanging. Just let them know, like, you know, unfortunately, right now, it's just not going to be the same. You know, things happen with relationships, whatever spiel you want to use, but use something. Make sure you communicate it. Yeah. Because you don't want to allow room for things to get set in. You don't want somebody to say something wrong, getting around them and putting in their head about something else. You know, you just, I hate to say it like that, but people can be petty, and as much as you know you're around your children, there might be times where you're just not around. And so more than likely it's probably not going to happen that way, but a door could open where they are and you aren't, and so you want to been already covered the playing field. That's what I'm saying. Right.
And it just shows how your wise counsel, as things change in your life or things change in their life, like it'll be a change. It'll be a rotation. It might not be anything, you know, because anything bad. Yeah. It might be just natural growth. Yep. Natural just separation. Yep. You know, we can be wise counsels to someone and we're not wise counsels to them anymore because they've grown or they don't need us anymore. You know, we might have lost contact. You know, it just shows how your community, it changes as you change. Yeah. God, I feel like God, I mean, not feel like, I know. Yeah. God, you know, knows what we need at the time that we need it. So he starts making those changes, making those adjustments, those rotations, you know, and he'll, you know, remove and then he'll put back, or he'll, you know, he puts things in place the way that they need to, based on what he knows that you need from who. Right. So it's not, using somebody. It's
right.
He's placing them
right
because he knows what we need
mm-hmm.
and who has what we need.
Right.
The same with us. He knows who needs us.
Yeah.
And he puts us in the place of them too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely. I know we kind of touched on this subject a little bit in our last video, but I thought it was still important to kind of go through and figure out and discuss in what situations, who, where, when, why, and things to consider mm-hmm. with your circle and people, and understanding that we do all need people mm-hmm. and people need you, you need them. So you might be wise counsel for someone and they become big wise counsel for you. And it could be for the purposes of parenting, marriage, whichever way. Mm-hmm. So hopefully you guys were able to take something from this. I'm so glad you guys joined us today. And you can stay tuned for next week. We're going to be talking about a little further in depth about counseling and seeking counseling for yourself and why it's so, so important.
Yes, mental health is just important. Point blank and the period.
Yes.
So
yeah,
we definitely need to dig deep into that.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Y'all, thank y'all for joining us again this week. We love you guys much with all of our little hearts. We really do. We appreciate everything that you all are doing for us so that we can do for you. So,
and we're going to have a special guest next week.
Ooh.
Yes.
Wonder who that could be.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so as you can know when we have new videos posted. But before we go, hey, like we always say, a good thing is not hard to find,
but it takes work to keep it.
Till next week. We love you guys. Be blessed.
See you guys. Bye. Bye.